It's an earthquake, right? Thank you, everyone. I'd like to call the Regional School District number 8 Board of Education special meeting of Monday, March 28th to order. We could begin with roll call, beginning to my far left, please. Rick Jacobson here.
Jay Marlborough. Suzanne Marlborough.
Katarina Marlborough.
Nadia Peter.
Joe O'Connor here. Bruce Hollister here.
Danny Holtzclaw, Andover.
David Castanian, Andover. Dreamer, Hebron. Fossinsky, Superintendent of Schools.
Jay Neal, Business Manager. Kathy Lunt, Administrative Assistant.
We could all rise for the pledge of allegiance. The flag is in the center. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That brings us to the first item, or the next item on the agenda, which is public comment. If anyone would like to address the board at this time, if you'd like to do so, please come forward, stand up, and state your name and your town and address. Yes,
Dick Dave Marlborough, just a question, or a quick question that I forgot to ask at the last meeting. I wonder if we could get the latest update on the projection for the ADA grant, and also whether there's any hope for any portion of the original capital improvement grant. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Dan Larson, speaking as chairman of the Board of Selectmen. I'm asking that I may be allowed to speak during the CNG presentation.
That's it. We have a discussion and possible action on the CNG gas proposal because of the significance. I think it might be better at that time, or also during that time. If you have a presentation, we can add you to the presentation if you'd like. But we have, when it comes to that discussion, and because there's a connection to Hebron, I think it's important, obviously, for you to be engaged in the conversation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Brings us to item 4, the report of the administration.
Mr. Chairman, I've done some research, some additional research on the CNG proposal. And what I did is I contacted bond council since there was borrowing involved. I wanted to be sure that if there was any borrowing, that we would follow the appropriate statute. And what I have in front of me is a letter from each federal ship and good outlining the steps that need to be taken. And I think that what Mr. Pedler is saying, just summarize from the last paragraph, is what the calculation for the doing. Accordingly, the district could appropriate and authorize the bonding for $260,000 installation of natural gas and equipment to serve the district school facility. An appropriation and bond authorization may be approved at a district meeting. Since we're obligating the district, I want to be sure that there weren't any questions or issues around grant borrowing the money from here. And so I double check with him, and that was his opinion. I have a motion to call a special district meeting. We haven't set any dates or anything, but that would be essential. Along with during the process, we would have to sit down and develop some sort of agreement but that would, those are things.
What I'd like to do at this time is at least ask a motion just for order and organization. I know the group is here to give the presentations. We're going to, Mr. Larson has some comments as well, or discussion. What I'd like to do is ask if there's any objection to moving discussion item number 7, discussion of possible action regarding the CNG natural gas proposal, up to the next order of business, which will be right after the report of the administration. Motion made by Maddie. Is there a second? Is there any objection to that? No. Okay. Then we'll go ahead and make that change. Number number 7. That brings us to number 7 for the natural gas presentations, which I believe is there some invited guests
So
here?
for the members of the board, you might have missed the other presentation, I have the folks here from, that would be really kind of update the board on the presentation, any members who might have missed anything. So if I could take a minute, I would ask them to do that before we begin the discussion.
Any objections to that? I know some of you guys have seen the presentation. Any objections?
I didn't see it, but I'm gonna see it. Here we go. Right, that's what we're saying.
Okay. Good evening. Hi, my name is Terry Eller, and I am the Director of Commercial Industrial Sales for UIL Holdings. I also want to introduce our Senior Director of Sales and Marketing, Roddy Diotalevi, who's joining me this evening. It will help with some questions. Thanks again for letting us come out here and do this presentation to you. This is somewhat of an abbreviated presentation because we had given you the other one, and I did include some information with respect to some questions that we had gotten when we were here before. I also brought some maps for, as a leave behind, that you can bring back to the town of Hebron, but it kind of shows you the proposed route, where we're planning on going, and how this would give us additional expansion into your town with natural gas. Just a little bit, again, about our company, if you're not familiar with us. We are a new company, Avon Grid. We're a diversified energy and utility company. We operate in 25 states with $30 billion in assets, and we have 8 electric and gas utilities. We're the country's second largest wind company with wind and solar operations in 18 states. And just to let you know about here in Connecticut, we obviously have 2 natural gas companies, Connecticut Natural Gas, serving the Hartford area. Southern Connecticut, am I in your way? Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Is that good? Southern Connecticut Gas Company, located along the shoreline, and United Illuminating Company, which is our power company. I know you folks here have EverSource. We have United Illuminating Company. And the company that would be doing this is Connecticut Natural Gas, which we have been in the state of Connecticut for more than 150 years with 165,000 customers. Obviously, we believe natural gas delivers value and diversity. It allows you to heat economically. It's the most abundant fuel source in the U.S. It's the least expensive way to heat your home or business. We have stable pricing. We are highly regulated. We cannot manipulate your prices. It's sustainable. It is the cleanest fossil fuel that is available. It's domestic, sourced right here in the Northeast, and it's reliable. No deliveries. It is the fuel of choice for backup generators. If you ever wanted to put in a micro turbine or a microgrid or a fuel cell, it would be the fuel you would use. So it has great benefits. A little bit about the project. What we're proposing is a 6-mile new gas main. The main would be installed from the current Hebron Gate Station up in the, it's hard for you all to see, but it's the left-hand corner. You can look at the map there. And it would extend into the Hebron Town Center. In order to do this gas extension project, we would require Rham High School, Rham Middle School, the Hebron Elementary School, the town offices, the library, and the fire department to become natural gas customers. We would require them to sign service agreements and agree to convert to using natural gas for, I forgot to plug me in. I'll just speak.
You may have put the power down there.
Oh, did I speak it?
So hold on. Keep going.
So the route would serve all those commercial and residential customers. I have some great slides for you to see here. With respect to the project, it's about a $4.2 million project with a shortfall of about $1.7 million. And we would be looking for a financial contribution from the town of Hebron for $441,000. And that would come from the town of Hebron, not the Rham Board of Education. Is it back up there?
Yeah.
Just to point out that 95% of the schools located on a natural gas main in our service area do heat and use natural gas. The other 5% are currently getting ready or in the process of converting. Since 2012, we've converted over 30 schools, and the main driving factor is the lower operating costs behind these conversions. Again, it's domestic, abundant, and environmentally friendly. So here's about your school. Rham High School and Rham Middle School, their current fuel you use is oil. And we were provided this information from Andy that got it probably from your facility manager, your budgetary person. I'm not sure who provided us that information. You use about 100,000 gallons of oil a year, and you're paying, you have a price right now of $1.97 a gallon. That's the information we were given. Your current cost with oil was $197,394. If you were to take the amount of oil you would use and convert that to natural gas, we see that you would use 140,000 CCF. And your natural gas cost for an annual year would be $96,000. Those would be savings of $101,000 by switching to natural gas. And that would be the first year. And that's based on a price per gallon of $1.97. Just to let you know a little bit about, there was some discussion over who's responsible for what. We're responsible for bringing the main and the service and everything up to the meter. And then the Rham High School and Rham Middle School would be responsible for all the costs of any equipment conversions that you would do within your building and any piping that you would do inside your building. That would include conversion of your boilers to natural gas, conversion of a water heater if you so chose to natural gas. If you want to cook in your kitchen here with natural gas, you would convert your kitchen equipment and all piping for the gas meter to the converted equipment. You would be responsible for all of those costs. We would obviously be responsible for the installation of all the natural gas mains within the project, service lines, the meters at both schools, and maintenance of all the mains and services. There was some question last time about other schools and what they had done. So I did get permission from Amity, which is a regional district like you, Bethany, Orange, and Woodbridge, to share with you. They just did a project. They've converted all of their schools. We just converted one last year to natural gas. But the Amity Board of Ed, the way they did it was they added their conversion costs to their budget. They did not use any financing or grants for this project. I know we did East Hampton, if you're familiar with that town, which is kind of closer to you. They did get, I believe, some grants, and I would advise you to call Mike Maniscalco and see how they did that. These projects at Amity actually involved a burner replacement, so they weren't eligible for any conservation incentives, but that's because they chose to do a burner replacement. But in the future state, Amity will now qualify for incentives if they install gas efficiency measures. So the Amity High School is about 288,000 square feet in size, and I wasn't sure how that compared to your school, but I thought I'd provide you their information. And that's kind of what their cost was, $68,143 to replace the burners, and they got $9,400 to replace the burner on one oil-fired boiler with a new modulating gas-only power flame burner. And then Amity Middle School is about 86,000 square feet. Their cost to conversion was about $60,500. So that was the cost that Amity Board of Ed had, and they just converted their high school and the middle school. Sure.
What was the first figure for the high school?
The high school was $77,543. And I can put anybody in contact with Jim Sisa. He's their facility manager. He'd be more than happy to speak with anybody about you're welcome to call any of our customers and see how they did it. That's kind of on the customer side. We're not involved with that portion, but I thought I got his permission to share this with you guys. Any other questions?
You guys talk about grants there?
So here's,
What's in those grants?
excuse me?
You referenced a couple of grants to do something.
Yeah, Mike Maniscalco got a grant. I'm not sure, from who, but we can certainly find that out.
So it's not something regularly attached to something like this?
We don't get involved with that. You're more than welcome to take advantage of the CLM incentives that are available. And here's some more other incentives that would be available to you as well. On-bill financing, low interest loans, manufacturer rebates, We offer utility incentives. We have conservation incentives, and the Green Bank has some loans available as well. So in order to do this project, a requirement in order to commence would be that the town of Hebron would need to make a financial contribution to our company in the amount of $441,900. We would be looking for signed agreements from the Board of Ed and all of the school, the town offices, the library, the fire station, the senior center as well, with an agreement to convert by this winter, December 31st of 2016. I did bring a service agreement, and I'll leave it behind for you guys to read to see what's involved with our service agreement. There were some questions about how long did you have to agree to take natural gas and be a customer of ours, so I did bring a sample agreement that we can review. Obviously, with this expansion, it would be exciting for your neighboring towns as well. It would give us the possibility to do some future expansions into Andover, Marlboro, and another phase 2 into Hebron, thereby making those towns the ability to retain and attract new businesses by providing a cleaner, cheaper, and more reliable fuel source.
I have a question about that. What is the cost if all you have is the Algonquin gas pipes that go through the town? What is the cost of getting the infrastructure in there that would allow you to tap off of that line?
We're tapping off of it from our gate station.
Right. So we would have to have a gate station. My question is what would the cost be of creating a gate station?
There is a gate station here. The cost is to put the main line in, and then the service lines and the meters.
Right.
That's the $4.2 million.
No, I understand, but I'm saying for,
If
you
you were,
said you would attract other towns to be able to do it at a later date.
If
So
you were
in
to-
Andover, we've got the Algonquin line that goes right behind the elementary school, the town hall, the fire station, all that. But without a way to tap into that, without a gate station there, you can't really do that.
So once we put in this line here, going here, we just continue to build off of it.
Oh, okay. So
So-
you wouldn't do another gate station?
No, we would have enough capacity to serve all of those places that I just mentioned.
Hmm.
We would just build and just continue to build off this line.
Oh,
So this line helps us to get into the main, brings opportunity into your downtown center, and then we continue to grow out from there. Does that answer your question?
And you mentioned a possibility. Is that a reality? Is that like maybe someday in 10 years, 20 years, or is that?
Well, I can tell you that in East Hampton, we did the largest gas main extension we've ever done. Nobody in East Hampton had gas a year ago, and today we have gas available to about 300 residents and businesses. They converted every school, every town building, and we completed that project last year. It was our largest gas main extension we've done in 40 years, and we're currently planning to do a phase 2 in East Hampton. The same goes for Essex, which we brought gas to 2 years ago. We're looking at a phase 2. And we just did an extension through Deep River. And we're looking to go into possibly Chester. So no, they're a reality with the comprehensive energy strategy, the funding that we have. We're very interested in continuing to grow and make Connecticut more competitive. I think we spoke about that last time, about how Connecticut's only 35% of the residents and businesses in Connecticut have access to natural gas, one of the lowest states in the United States. And when you look at the Northeast, our neighbors, Massachusetts and Rhode Island, have about 50%. So we're really working to get Connecticut up to about 50%. There'll never be natural gas available in 100%, not in my lifetime, to 100% of Connecticut businesses and residents, but we'd like to be able to get Connecticut to about 50% availability. There'll still always be customers using propane, electricity, or oil.
So it would be more, cheaper or more efficient for you to just extend the line down. So I mean, Rham to like the center of town, Andover would probably be about 5 or 6 miles.
We do look at the option of building additional gate stations.
Right.
When we look at projects like this,
we weigh costs versus future revenues. That's the model we use, the regulatory model. If the cost to serve a load can be more efficiently served through the addition of a gate station, they're like $5 million a gate. So it's usually more appropriate to continue to expand the distribution system rather than tap off the existing transmission. The cost associated with that is usually higher.
So the entire project's a little over $4 million? Is that
Yes.
what it is? And the contribution is for 10%? You mentioned that roughly.
441,000 from the town keeper, yeah.
Okay, so the other portion of that, who's funding the, you're continuing making an investment, or is it being funded by other sources?
So the other funding, let me go back to that. So you can see it. So the total projected construction cost is about $4.2 million. There's a shortfall, as Roddy spoke about, the revenue and the cost of about $1.7 million. We have a fund, a non-firm margin fund of money that we are allowed to invest in projects. And we have about $4.5 million available to us this year to invest in projects.
Who funds that?
That's ratepayer money.
Ratepayers.
Okay, that's what I want.
Okay. Yeah, so instead of our current ratepayers getting a small credit on their fund, on their account, we have 50% of the money came back to our company as part of the comprehensive energy strategy, and we're allowed to invest in projects. This is a project that we think is a good one, so our company is willing to take of our $4.5 million in the fund we have and invest $1.257 million into it. Because we do see it as a potential for future growth. We do see this as an area. This is a great anchor customer for us. You know, the school is vital to the success of this project.
Any other questions?
I think I had a couple more slides.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. I kind of stopped talking. Those were the requirements. That was the school projects. Here's some testimonials from our other municipal partners, Essex, East Hampton, and Deep River. All three of those projects had schools. The schools were of paramount importance in order for us to do those projects. And I remember there was a young gentleman who asked about your annual emissions avoided, so if you were to convert. So we did do the emission slide. So if you were to convert, it would be the equivalent of taking 60 vehicles off the road each year, or 26 homes, or in saving 231 acres of forest needed to sequester carbon. And here's the timeline. So we'd be looking for approval in April, which is probably a tight time frame. Executed contracts April, May. Engineering, we have to do a final engineering design. We haven't final engineered this. We've just had a proposed engineering design. They need to come out and really drive the entire route and look at what that would be. Getting our permitting and construction in June and July, or July and August. Having done so many schools over the years, we do know that the best time to do a school and to do your work in here is to do it in the summer months. So that's when our winter months, our fall, our winter are extremely busy with, our phones are ringing off the hook with people who want to convert out their heating equipment. We're busier than we can stand to be. So this is a project where we'd like to do them in the spring and the summer. Works best for us. Our contractors have availability, and it's good for the schools too. And you could convert your equipment. We would just require you convert it by the end of the year.
Does that convert all of it or just a portion of it?
Well, we would want you to convert to heat. If you don't want to convert your cooking equipment, that's your choice.
But I mean, does all of it have to be converted by the end of the year?
Yes.
Or it's just that some of it can be converted? Okay.
No, we would want you to convert to natural gas using natural gas by December 31st of this year.
Yeah, or we could convert the kitchens, for example, to natural gas and intend to do some of the furnaces later on. But you want it all done?
We would want the heating portion done, yes. we would want you to heat. That's part of the requirement of us using the fund is to heat with natural gas. The cooking is a nice secondary added load to us, but the primary purpose of that fund and the money we were given is to provide natural gas for heating.
I think the easy explanation for that is on the electric side of the business, we have an obligation to serve all customers. If the house gets built, we have an obligation to serve, and ratepayers fund that. On the gas side of the business, very highly regulated. The new gas expansion, they want to be funded by new gas customers. So if it costs $100, we get to count 25 years of revenue, and that needs to equal $100. If it equals 90, then these people where we're bringing gas can pay the $10 difference. What's good about this project and what the governor's comprehensive energy strategy does is he's really trying to expand the use of natural gas. And so we are allowed to use that ratepayer money. That's called the non-firm margin, is gas that we buy. We buy gas in advance to serve all our customers. But if it's not a cold day of the year, we sell the gas back on the system. And the money we make usually gets returned to ratepayers. The comprehensive energy strategy lets us use money for projects like this. So that's $1.25 million out of $4 million. That's a pretty big chunk being allocated to this project because we think it's a good project. It's a lot of new gas load, and it gives the opportunity to expand further to some of the other neighborhoods you talked about. It's a good project for us as well. I'm not going to...
Do you have any idea when you might think of expanding out to Marlboro and Hebron and Andover, some of your second phases?
I can tell you that I had discussions with the first selectwoman of Marlboro back when I did the East Hampton ribbon breaking ceremony. I don't think she got elected. I think somebody else was elected, and we've been trying to schedule a meeting with her to meet with her about bringing natural gas to Marlboro. I was told that I think there's new owner. You guys probably know better than me. There's a new owner of some buildings there. I don't know, maybe I'm not talking correctly, but something about that. So we do want to meet with Marlboro, yes. The first selectwoman, I had some meetings with her.
I think the best example is a couple years back we did Essex. From 95, we expanded up about 8 miles to Essex. And then the year later, we did Deep River. Deep River would have never happened had we not done the first phase to Essex.
And I can tell you there's a large manufacturing firm located in Chester who has called us and said, wanting us to bring gas to their business. So thereby we extend it.
It is a hopscotch effect. And to the extent when you ask about timeline, our business is driven by customer demand. So if there's customers along the next route that want the gas, and the demand side of the equation is high, we have a lot of capital that we can expend so the equation balances out. So really, we'd like to say, if we did this project, next year we do the next one. The next year's project is driven by the customer demand. That's the nature of the business.
I passed along the presentation to the boards of finance and this first selectman. They were interested, so, from Andover.
Okay, we'd be very interested, of course. Yes.
And thank you.
So that's all I have. I do have a copy of the presentation and a service agreement that I'll leave with you all to review and look at. If you have any questions, you can feel free to call me. It's just a sample agreement, it's not filled in.
Tom, can you get Manny first? And then...
Oh, okay.
So, quick question. For us to realize that savings, it seems to be about a 45% per gallon difference between natural gas and oil. Is there any provision to guarantee that rate over the next couple of years, or so that we actually realize those savings?
Well, we're highly regulated. Our prices have remained relatively stable. It's not in this presentation, but it was in the last one about how stable the natural gas prices have been.
Since the recession, but prior to that was pretty spiked. So, what's the
The game changer on natural gas has nothing to do with the recession. The game changer on natural gas is the way they harvest natural gas.
That's terrific. So what provisions do we have that's going to guarantee the savings over the next couple of years?
What we don't control is the price of oil. And if we were having this conversation 2 years ago, I guarantee you'd all be a yes vote immediately when oil was $4 a gallon.
Don't make
So-
that assumption.
I'm sorry?
Don't make that assumption.
No. I won't make that assumption.
But Manny's bringing up a very important point. There's some guaranteed savings in here, and the towns, we're gonna get together, and we're gonna talk about trying to make this financially feasible if it works. And Manny's got a very good point. I mean,
That's a great, no, that's a great
Well,
question. What I can say is that if you recall, about a month and a half ago, oil dipped below $30 a barrel. It's had a 50% increase since that time. Now, if it dips back down to $30 a barrel or goes to 20, there's no guaranteed savings. Nothing is guaranteed in life. But I can tell you that if you go to the Energy Independence Administration website, the futures for oil are going that way, and the futures for natural gas are flat. If I had a crystal ball or I could predict energy prices, I would not be working for UIL Holdings, I guarantee that. So there is no concrete savings. But I think you need to do your research, and you need to go with the experts on which way the price of oil is going to go and which way the price of natural gas is
Well, I
going
think
to go.
that's all conjecture, right? Because
Every-
even natural gas, if you look at, 2020 going forward, with the global expansion and the fact that we're going to be exporting natural gas, those prices are bound to rise as well with increased competition. So I think you have to weigh both sides of it. I'm not interested in oil because we have oil now. I'm interested in what savings do we get from natural gas today and for the future as well. You can't just be myopic and look at what we're going to get this year. What's the result 5 years from now? What's the result 10 years from now? We have a lot of projections up there, so for you to tell me you can't project 2 years out is a little disconcerting.
Well, I'm going to say that I'm not comfortable projecting to yourself because I don't know what those costs are going to be. When we do these presentations, we provide 12-month, we provide an annual savings figure. We use the cost that the customers give us that they're currently paying for oil. We use the information that the customer gives us of how much oil they're consuming. Afterwards, when the projects get built, we do go back and we look at the revenues that came into our company. We do a comparison. I did one just 2 days ago. I looked at the comparison of the revenues coming in on a very large project we did, what we projected the revenues would be versus what the revenues were. And the revenues were less. They were somewhat less. And we called the customer to find out why. And part of it is when they install the natural gas equipment, it's so much more energy efficient. They really aren't using as much of the product as they had originally when they were using oil. And sometimes they put in some cost measures into their business just to make them more energy efficient. And so we don't always see the revenues that we thought we were going to see. Sometimes they're less just because of the savings they realized from the conservation measures they put in. But the $101,000 is an annual savings based on a 12-month historical price. We believe natural gas prices are going to stay low. We believe they're constant. We're a highly regulated company. You pay for natural gas 30 days after you've used it. You don't have to buy it ahead of time and sit it in tanks and wait to use it and pay for it ahead of time. It's like the electric company, you pay for it 30 days after, and only after you've consumed it.
I had thought you were asking me to project savings based on the price of oil. I can't do that. I can't do that tomorrow. I can't do that 2 years out or 10 years out. I can tell you that the natural gas is a highly regulated pricing mechanism. If you poll this group in here and you ask everybody, what'd you pay for home heating oil? You might as well ask, what'd you pay for your airline ticket to Florida? It's going to be all over the board based on what your oil dealer could charge you. That is not the case with natural gas. And if you'd like, we can get you 36 months of average monthly costs of the LGS tariff that you'd be on. So that price has dropped over the past couple of years because the commodity portion of the regulated price has gone down. Now there is conjecture that someday the United States will produce so much natural gas that would become a mass exporter of natural gas, and that would tend to raise the price a little. I have heard that argument, but I can't predict that.
Can you do rate guarantees over a period of time?
We can't do that because the rates are set by the regulator.
Understood.
Yeah,
Just
I
in
can't
line with what
do that. No, I can't do
No,
that.
it's the same as your electric bill.
I'm sorry.
It's the same as your electric bill. We're regulated by the
Understood.
same
It's also a
agency.
major investment. I mean, you made some revenue projections, right, over a period of time for your organization?
Based on this project,
Yeah.
what we have to project for this project and what we have to report to the regulators, we have to project
shortfall in this
the
project.
cost, we have to project the cost of this project, and we have to project the revenues from this project.
Right.
And
That's-
what we're obligated to do is we need to be
You're
within,
going to underwrite a loss over a certain period of time, right?
I'm sorry?
You're going to underwrite a loss over a certain period of time. If
If we're not within 20% of the cost estimate for the construction and 20% within the cost estimate for your usage, that's why we get and make you sign a contract, the ratepayers, not the ratepayers, the shareholders are on the hook to make up that difference. So we have to
I
be,
can tell you though, this project, prior to the comprehensive energy strategy, if you wanted to get natural gas, we would have come to you with this exact same proposal, and we would have said to you, if you had been telling me that you want to switch to natural gas, we would have said, it's a $4.193 million project, and we have a $1.7 million shortfall. So I'm going to need you to come up with $1.7 million in order to make this project work. This project wouldn't work, because you're not going to come up with $1.7 million. I stood at the Apple Barn in Simsbury and did a presentation to residential customers who wanted to switch to natural gas 3 years ago. I never met with residential customers. I meet with commercial customers. I had a room full of this many people throwing checks at me for $3,000, begging me to stay, running home to go get their checkbooks because they wanted to convert all of their homes to natural gas. They kept me there till late at night while they stood and wrote out checks. They paid the difference. They each paid $3,000 for us to bring the main there, and then they paid the $8,000 or $5,000, whatever it cost them, to convert their own equipment over to natural gas.
And I know Manny had his questions and why, but ours, you mentioned, we get billed 30 days after we use it.
Yes,
We lock into rates traditionally over time with oil because it helps us with budgeting.
right.
So, I mean, if there is a huge swing, and I know we're saying it's not, it's got its, your trajectory there set. If it changes somewhere mid-course, we're kind of in a bind if we use some projections, so.
That-
Well, we're regulated like the electric company, so it would be very similar to how you're doing you pay an electric bill here to Eversource. And so when the rates would change on the distribution portion would be during a rate case. And that's what you would say. But for this project now, we're taking $1.3 million of ratepayers' money and going to invest it in this project. And if we don't invest it in this project, we will invest it in another. We've done a proposal, my employee is not here today because he's up in, doing a presentation in another town, so.
The only other question was, what kind of disruption can we expect when construction happens? Does it have to be off during the summer when students aren't here, or can it happen while the students are in session? How does that?
No, we would work at your school here to put the service line in. We would do that during your off time. It's relatively quick. It's, I don't have that part of the presentation, but you guys have it. It took us 6 weeks to do 4 miles in Essex. This is about a 4 mile, or this is 6 miles, so it would take could take us 8 to 10 weeks. A lot of the time it takes us longer really is state roads. When we're working on state roads, they like us to be a certain distance apart for disrupting, the flow of traffic. So that's kind of what takes the long time. But we would put your service in here, if you decided to do this project, we would put your service in the summer.
When would the line be live?
We would try to get it live as soon as we could finish it, probably this summer. Yeah, it would be a project we would want to do this summer.
Like Dave asked, I assume your main objective is to get us to heat the building.
Yes.
This is Hebron Elementary,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
Okay, so just in case some of the money we got set aside happen to go in a different direction, then we actually got from now to 10 years, to change anything else in the building. In other words, the kitchen, the diesel engine, and anything else that sets up. You're just happy with the heat at the moment.
Yes.
You're not gonna give us any pressure
No.
if we don't change anything right away.
No, the
Good.
comprehensive energy strategy is about heating your home, heating your business, yes. Yeah, because some people aren't ready to rip out their kitchens or,
Yeah, frankly, if you've got a gas stove, converting it over to natural gas is a minimal cost.
if it's propane, right?
Right.
Yes. Yeah, we do like, these more rural areas, we do see a lot of residents actually with propane, and their conversions are fairly inexpensive. Even our company does that for them. We saw that in that East Hampton Phase 2. There's a whole big neighborhood, and they're almost all on propane. So they're begging us to go there.
Is there any other parts of your presentation?
There are, I'm finished. I did give you the contract and the presentation.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
So Bob, that brings us to our next discussion, right? I guess. Do you want to update the board on the discussions that Mr. Watson was talking about with Hebron? And you were talking about it being budget neutral and not like the board.
One of the things that we look at this for is in my discussions with how's this? One of the things that in my first discussions with Mr. Taylor and kind of spoke is that the project be budget neutral. In other words, that it would over time pay for itself. This is the same method that we use to finance some of the electrical upgrades that we've had in the building. For example, parking lot lights, those are now LED, and what we did is we signed a contract with Eversource to convert those lights to LED, and then that whole conversion would be paid for out of the savings. And we rule of thumb that we were using is somewhere from 3 to 5 years to pay for it. And if you look at us, and if you would recall, they made a presentation. I don't remember if it was to the entire board or to the facilities committee. And I can share the document with you that because of the conversions that we've made over time, we've reduced the electric bill by about $45,000. And we're in the process of negotiating some further conversions with them. And I see this as something that's continually ongoing. Because basically, if we can reduce our costs in one area, that allows us to plow more into construction. And of course, that's our kind of business. We've done this on a budget neutral basis, and if we go forward with this, my recommendation would be to be sure that budget neutral and be sure that the terms and payments would have that flexibility should the rates change. Another thing I think to consider as we look at this whole project is the whole notion of that capital improvements has been an issue with the board in improving things. And if you look at the project, we're going to get 4 new burners into the boiler room. We're replacing equipment that's 10 years old and obviously more efficient. One of the other things I think to consider, and I think it's an important consideration, is that we will be removing an underground oil storage tank. And there are rules that the state has to ensure that they're replaced over a period with an appropriate period of time. So I think that that there are many positives to this project. I think one other one that we really haven't mentioned is the notion of that we know Rham is a shelter, and in case of emergency, and oftentimes we've had some difficulty getting tankers in here just because of the road conditions, and obviously with gas that would be piped in underground, we wouldn't have those concerns. So I think that those are important considerations going forward.
Mr. Larson, would you like to make some general comments?
Well, sure. Thank you, Dan Larson, Chairman of the Board of Selectmen. And I'm lucky enough to have with me our town planner, Michael Leary, who has some bullet points. Donna Lanza, the town's executive secretary, financial officer. I'm not sure all of how big her title is.
Can I correct her title?
Sure.
Director of Administrative Services.
Director of Administrative Services. So they've got some other bullet points, and then I've got some other bullet points. But one of the things also talking about the fuel, that Hebron, I believe you people also, you're locked into oil contracts. When you sign a contract, it's for X amount of gallons of oil, whether you have a year like this that you don't use all your oil, you still have to pay for it. Or if you go over, I'm not sure what happens in that case, if they can change the price or not. But this here, you use what you use when you use it, you pay for it. You know, so budgetary wise, that should be a big plus. The other thing, you know, again, with fuel cells, there's so much opportunity and it's such a wide open area, and I would love to see Rham's science departments possibly finding ways that they could help to develop this. I think it could be used as a great learning tool as well, you know, for the students, which is something that's never been mentioned. So there's things like that, you know, the pre-buy, the delivery problems, you know, whether it's oil or propane, it all has to come on truck. You know, during inclement weather, bad storms, snowstorms, or whatever, I know even the fire department here in town, it's on propane, and due to inclement weather, they weren't able to make a propane delivery, and the firehouse had no heat, which isn't usually good for water. When it freezes, that's what firehouses got a lot of. So just some of those types of things. I'll turn it over to Mike. I believe he has some information.
Sure. Thanks, Dan. My name is Michael Leary, I'm the town planner in Hebron, and Andy Tierney, the town manager, asked me to just come with this information for you. Most of you probably know Andy's mom passed away last week, otherwise he would be here. He's her wake is actually this evening, so he's obviously taken up with that. But he did ask me to attend and just to reiterate, along with all the members here from Hebron that are here, is that we're not promoting this as a Hebron project, we're promoting this as a regional school district project. Because we're part of the region, and we fully believe that all the items that Terry talked about and Dan talked about are reasons why this makes a lot of sense to the regional district. Makes sense to Hebron, but also makes sense to the district that we're part of. Here's some bullet points, as Dan mentioned, that the Director of Finance in Hebron just put together, some copies of them. Just as a very preliminary numbers, and these are based on estimates that we've acquired, and I think Bob's staff acquired on the conversion costs, as well as the town contribution, as you heard about here a little earlier. When we estimate, and you'll see these bullet points as that gets rounded, the finance director in Hebron estimated that when you look at all the conversion costs, and that first bullet point should say municipal buildings and rent, that the total overall cost of the conversion was about $1.16 million. That's the conversion and the town's contribution that would have to be financed. And I'm not the finance person, so be gentle. But I'm passing on this. Just to give you a frame of reference for what Hebron is thinking about in terms of the way that this could work. The finance director has contacted a number of financial institutions in the area that she works with, and is looking at the possibility of this being a short-term note, a 10-year note. At the time that she made the inquiries, and now we're a few weeks down the road, so this would change, but was at a cost of 2.15% for 10 years. So the annual estimated loan repayment over that 10-year period annually would be about $130,000. Again, I keep saying word estimate because that's what we're dealing with. Because all these conversions would go out to bid, and so actually we may get a much better cost in the bid process than what we've all achieved so far. And you can see what she put forward there as what she is estimating that the Rham portion of that cost would be. And I think what Andy has mentioned to me, and I'm sure the other members here can speak to that, is that we're here to make it work. And we're here to make this work for the region as well as the town. And the repayment could be done over the 10-year period, so you continue to realize cost savings each year, or the repayment could happen quicker. And then you have the full cost savings prior to that 10-year period expiring. So those are just some preliminary numbers that Andy and the finance director wanted us to get to. I think there was some questions about that at the last session. And again, Andy would have loved to have been here. He just wants to indicate to you that our staff remains committed to trying to make this work and working with the board to be very flexible, working out the agreements for that financing so that it serves you, it serves the region to the best point possible. And that's all I have. Thanks, Bob.
When did you break down from the cost of conversion to money?
I hope I've got enough copies for that distributed prior.
Does this 1.162 number include the numbers that Bob provided for the conversion?
That's the whole project, that's the whole.
Right. Are the numbers for Rham included in the whole?
Yes.
Yes.
Is that the whole?
Yes.
That's Ram's
All-
conversion cost plus the towns.
All that they would be looking for from Rham would be the principal on Rham's portion. So I believe that Dr. Sminsky had gotten a price of $264,000 or whatever. That would be all that we would be looking at you people to reimburse, again, depending on however you want to set it up.
So on item number 2, where it says the town of Hebron is recommending a shorten the financial aspect of funding this cost at around 2.15% for 10 years. Is that the amount that Hebron's going to bond for the 1.1, or thinking of bonding to the 1.1? Or is that the terms of which you want, what I understand is it's going to be a short?
That's what Hebron's going to do.
That's what Hebron's bonding.
Correct.
And again, these are all preliminary numbers, just so
Well,
you
understood.
understand.
No, I'm not holding you to it, I'm just to get an idea of what
Yeah.
the frame of reference is. No, absolutely.
And I will say that mine are preliminary contractor estimates.
So our only costs are this, not.
Correct.
There are no others.
Correct.
See, the mission that we gave the folks was the pricing of the gas would be brought to the building. Right. And then once it was brought to the building, the contractor, whatever that might be, would connect, go to the boiler room, go to the middle school, go to the outlet heater, and convert the two kitchens, the cooking kitchen for school lunches, and the food service management kitchen for this part of the construction.
So if we all try to do this together, are there enough plumbers in and around the area that can get us all done at the same time so that we can get the same, maybe some equal pricing? Bob provided some estimates, but are we gonna have 10 different contractors doing the connections and the change outs and the conversions and so forth? Or is there a way for us to gain some economies also in that cost?
I would say once we had a qualified, yes, let's go forward, let's continue to investigate and move forward with this plan.
Perhaps, maybe one for Rham, one for a city, maybe not for city, but for
Correct,
town of
but-
Hebron,
right.
to get some guaranteed pricing or quotations for these changeouts. to maximize.
Correct. Well,
The intent would be to provide a single point person in terms of the turnover, the conversion. It may be done by different companies, but all the companies that work would have to qualify.
Where are we on obligated oil and oil in the tank?
No, we had, the oil that we're going to use this year, we still have to purchase, and we committed to the oil for next year, but he said Mr. Canada is working with the company to hopefully get out of the contract for next year.
What's the likelihood of that happening?
I think that's Andy just deals with it because we were contracting with the same vendor.
Is there any history on this? Has anybody successfully gotten out of these contracts? You have now contracts too, don't you? You have some fuel contracts for you.
Yeah,
Are you guys have to do the same thing, or
we're gonna have to do the exact same thing.
what happens if we're not successful? I mean, is there a buyout or a get out clause?
I can,
Elaine has talked with Time Oil, and they're holding us to the contract.
They're holding you to the contract.
They're holding Marlboro to the contract as well.
So that's another full year of a 100,000 gallons, right?
Pump it out and sell it, all right?
We're looking into that.
After we check, yeah. You know, the thing is,
Everybody's.
The real cost is $365,000.
Do you guys know if there's anyone's been successful in this, in getting out of their oil contracts? East Hampton?
You know that the oil dealers and the propane dealers obviously don't like losing their business and they play hardball. But we are contacted by a lot of customers that negotiate outs with the propane or oil dealers. We do know that some customers who have oil left in their tank will get outfits to come and take that oil and sell it back on the marketplace on, you know, I don't know, 50 cents, 75 cents on the dollar. So there's ways to get out. I could tell you that the oil dealers and the propane dealers don't like fuel choice and don't like the fact that you're going to shop your best deal because it's not in their best interest and they're going to look out for their best interest, just like you should be looking out for yours.
Do you know, we have a 2-year contract, you're saying?
Once we renew the contract.
Do you know what rate we're going to do that, since rates were extremely low? It may be to their best interest to let us out of the contract.
Well, if the rates go up, I'm sure it'll be back.
That's what I'm
We
asking.
go out to bid every year. Every year we go out to bid.
That's a good point, though. If you bought low and you have extra oil, you might be able to broker your own deal and make money on your own oil that you prepaid.
Are we prepaid?
No.
Some questions on these numbers here. One, if you was, it's hard, ignoring that last conversation, if we had $100,000 saved, that's $100,000 in our budget that we could apply towards a good chunk of this conversion cost. Would still be budgeted. If you ignore the previous one.
No.
I didn't hear the caveat. Oh, yeah, no, that was important. The other question is, I'm a little more nervous about taking out a loan to remove the tank when we can have the tank sit there and just do it at a little later date.
We talked about that last week. There's no need,
No need, right?
no need to get rid of it now.
And we wouldn't want to do it this year anyways, because you're not going to do that when school is in session.
And
It's too complicated a project because if you know that area where probably the tank is, there are a lot of underground utilities there, some of which were installed after the tank. So it's going to be a complex project to get that tank out of there.
And it might be a good place to store 20,000 gallons of water.
And they said also there's nothing in the contract that keeps us from going dual fuel also. If we were to think about doing that.
Yeah, I'd be more hesitant on that, but,
Right.
and then having this go over 10 years is way too long for the size of this loan. If we're saving $100,000 a year.
Say it again, Richard.
So 10 years is too long for $264,000.
But I don't think the terms, I think Hebron was looking at a 10-year note, right? for the
he was
full
looking at
cost.
10-year note.
We would have a separate agreement for.
It's gonna be a separate agreement only on the principle for what you people would
On
be
200 or whatever.
doing for your project. So, you know, and that brings up another point. If you decide not to take the tanks out of the ground, you know, as a reserve, that would back out of that cost of the 264,000. If you wanted to leave your piping in place, you know, for that potential possibility, which they had said could be done after that 1 year sign-on deal that you could go back to oil, you don't have to spend that money. You wouldn't have to take that piping out. You would need to have the gas piping put in so that